Welcome to the Everyone's a Critic movie review podcast. I'm your co-host, Bob Zerl. With me, as always, is professional film critic Sean Patrick. Visit us at ihatecritics.net, everyone's a critic podcast.com. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Our handle is CriticsPod. You can listen to us live on YouTube, usually Monday evenings around 6 and 8 p.m. Central Time, depending on our schedules. Subscribe to us there as well. Click on the notification if you want to know when we go live. Also check our social media platforms for when we go live as well, as we announce it every time we do it. You can listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, all your podcatchers. Subscribe to the show, rate and review the show. We will read your reviews on the air. And if you leave us a 5-star review, we have some 5K Blu-rays available. Did I say 5K? It's 4K. Right?
5K is a race.
5K is a race. It's the future. We'll have some 4K Blu-rays for you. My head is all sorts of messed up. It's not even funny.
That's what happens when you go to a Slipknot concert.
I felt better for that. It's like if I do something for myself, I still get punished by losing brain cells, whatever. Anyway, if you leave a 5-star review, we do have some 4K Blu-rays for you as well that have been given to us by various studios and distribution companies. Patreon.com/criticspod is the best way to help support the podcast. We will be doing a bonus episode coming up here. I don't want to tell you what it's about yet in case we don't do it, but I'm pretty sure we're going to get it done tomorrow night. But I'm looking forward to it. It sounds like it could be a lot of fun. We also have several ones out there. We did music reviews. We have done deep dives on A24. We did a deep dive on I Spit on Your Grave. This next episode is going to be closer to that, I think. I'm really curious how it turns out. I hope we do it. I hope we find a way that we can all make it because I'm really excited about it. But we are... Anyway, I don't want to give too much away, but next episode, hopefully, we'll have more details on that. But Patreon.com/criticspod, the best way to help support the podcast and to get yourself a credit on the show and some bonus podcasts you can't hear on a normal stream. And then our TeePublic merch is at ihatecritics.net. Click on the link in the right-hand corner or go to tpublic.com and search CriticsPod. All right. Make sure I got plenty of battery, and I do. First of all, I'm going to get Flickchart ready for later in the show. Just sorry about that.
It's all right.
And then I will share my screen so we can start the episode. And let's lead things off with Bob's Burgers.
All right, Bob's Burgers, the movie Bob's Burgers, of course, based off of the Fox TV series and featuring the voices of Eugene Mervin and H. John Benjamin and a host of terrific voice actors. This is, of course, a very funny show that's been on the air for now 11 seasons. I believe it's been renewed for like 12 and 13. And I call this delightfully inessential. There's no real reason to make this movie, but it exists, and I'm glad that it does because it's very funny, and I'm a fan. And I think you have to be a Bob's Burgers fan to enjoy this. If you're not, I don't know why you would want to see this movie. The story goes that Bob and his family, they own a burger shop in Eastern City. They are constantly having money troubles, and they're having money troubles again when a giant sinkhole opens in front of their burger shop on what is supposed to be the busiest weekend of the year. And, of course, with them needing to make a lot of money to pay off the bank. Wanting to solve this, their youngest daughter decides to go into this hole and see what she can find and try and figure out a way to save the family. And in doing so, she uncovers a body that was in this hole. And that leads to a sort of a murder mystery plot where she and her brother and sister try and find who did this. And it's all leading back to Mr. Fish Owner, voiced by Kevin Kline, who's their landlord. And Kevin Kline's best work has been on this show for the past 15 years. In case you've ever been wondering what Kevin Kline's been doing, he's been killing it on Bob's Burgers as a voice actor. He's hilarious, and he's absolutely hilarious in this. He's got a brother voiced by Zach Galifianakis, and the two of them together are just completely hysterical, just trashing each other from beginning to end. It's great. But everything about this movie is pretty terrific. I really enjoyed it. Like I said, I'm a huge Bob's Burgers fan anyway, and I don't think the movie necessarily needed to exist, but I'm glad that it does.
That's cool. I'm not. I mean, I'm familiar with the show. I've never really watched it. It's funny. It's in 11 seasons, and it's kind of like the new cartoon show for adults. Because the other ones are still getting renewed too, which is insane.
Yeah.
That's cool that it's awesome, though. I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad fans of the show will like it, and that's awesome. Always up for positive news.
Yeah.
18 and a half.
18 and a half is a strange movie. This posits the idea that somebody has gotten their hands on a recording of the missing 18 and a half minutes from the Watergate tapes, where Nixon is alleged to have actually shut off his recorder, but then there was another recorder going that actually did capture those 18 and a half minutes in which he talks about all the terrible things that they were doing with Watergate, admitting that he planned it and that he put it all together for the break-in at the Watergate Hotel to steal from the Democratic Party. The idea here is that a journalist is meeting up with this woman who works at the White House. She claims to have the tape. She does, in fact, have the tape, according to this story. And they end up stuck together in this hotel trying to find a recorder that can actually play one of these tapes, or this tape that she has. It's a weird movie. It's really strange. We do hear the recording. The recording is featuring Bruce Campbell as the voice of Richard Nixon. Interestingly enough, doing just a pretty good Nixon impression. Meanwhile, the rest of the story is kind of a love story between this reporter and this woman, but he's not who he says he is. And then there's this other couple who's in the hotel who may have been following them, who are certainly not who they have said that they are. And it gets kind of weird. There's a drug segment or a drunk segment where everybody's getting very, very drunk, and the conversation gets very angry about Nixon. And again, it's a very weird movie, and I don't quite understand what the point of it was in the end. It really just goes to some very odd places, and like I said, it proceeds from something that doesn't exist, which are these 18 and a half minutes. So these 18 and a half minutes don't exist. We don't know what's on them.
Yeah, it sounds exhausting.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
I mean, if they did exist, the movie alone is that, But you've added 4 or 5 things on top of that just in your description of it, and I can't imagine keeping my interest throughout the whole thing. I mean, I haven't seen it, but based on where it seems to be going, it's just like I could see my eyes going to my phone a lot more. But I'm just projecting on a movie I haven't seen.
Yeah. Bruce Campbell's not actually in the movie, just his voice. So.
And it didn't
the most recognizable actor. Sorry?
Go ahead. Well, who's the most recognizable actor?
The guy, the white guy from Cow.
Gotcha. Hearing Bruce Campbell's voice doesn't take you out of it at all. I mean, it sounds like he did a good job.
No, like you said, he does a solid Nixon, and as long as I think if you know it's him going in, then it doesn't distract too much.
All right.
But the most distracting is just the movie isn't very good.
Yeah. All right. Benediction.
Benediction is a very good movie about. It stars Jack Lowden as a man a real life guy named Siegfried Sassoon, who is one of the few people who ever criticized World War I. World War I is one of the most, positively remembered wars, I guess, if you will. It was one of the most bloody and violent, but most people supported it. And this was a guy who didn't, and he tried to speak out against it and was prevented for the most part until after the war was over, and that's when he became known as the war poet, who wrote these incredibly vivid and terrifying poems about the horrors of war, and trying to explain to people, hey, these things are pretty terrible, all this stuff is pretty bad, and we shouldn't be going to war. Even in this situation that seems like a slam dunk, where Britain is trying to prevent or try to protect itself from German aggression, he's still saying, like, these guys, basically what he was saying is that it's okay to fight this war, but the way we're fighting it is wrong because we just continuously throw poor people at bullets, essentially. That's the way they were fighting it. It's this, just throw a bunch of poor people out on the front lines, throw them at the bullets, and hope that they can stop the bullets from hitting the guys who are important. And that's basically what Sassoon was saying. But on top of that, he comes back to England at a time when being gay is outlawed. Being gay in England is against the law until like 1965. So he's dealing with coming back from the war and being gay, but he's rich, so he can be kind of out. So he starts dating Ivor Novello, this well-known English actor, and the two are kind of carrying about rather openly, considering the illegality of what they're doing. And he has multiple relationships like this, and he's kind of a hedonist in that way, but he finds no comfort in that. He finds no comfort in his art. He finds no comfort in having these relationships and having all this sex with various different men. So he just gives that up and decides to get married, figuring that might be the answer. So he marries a woman and to kind of hide in the closet and give up on that life. And the rest of the movie is about him as an adult, an older adult played by Peter Capaldi, who has reached a point where he's ready to give up everything and believe in God and start going to church and give up everything at that point. And it's really an amazing story of how they make that into a dramatic arc, because you wouldn't think it sounds like a very internal journey, but they make it so vivid in the way that Jack Lowden portrays Sassoon and the way that Peter Capaldi just looks like the saddest human being on the planet. You're definitely buying in that this is a guy who is at the end of his rope, who finds no pleasure in anything anymore, and thinks that the only way he'll ever find hope is starting to believe in God and turning to a church that would absolutely turn him away or turn him into, put him in prison, help to put him in prison if they knew who he really was.
Yeah, this is, similar to 18 and a half, where you keep adding on to it. This one, as you're adding on where it goes, gets more and more interesting to me. And this is something I definitely want to see. It just sounds like a totally fascinating movie.
It really is. They shift in time. Even they open with Capaldi, and then they cut back to Loudon, and then you'll see the Capaldi story come back in a little bit, and it really rises and falls like this wonderful symphony of emotions.
What's the best part of it? Is it the acting, or is it the story, or a combination of the two?
It's a combination of the two, yeah. Like I think the way it just slowly reveals itself, then when you're really getting down to the ending, and you're realizing just what journey he's on. I sat and thought about this movie for like 3 days after I watched it, just kind of mulling it over about the way that they reveal him and the way he reveals himself over the course of the film. It's really impressive. Yeah. On top of which, they have these remarkable sections early on where you hear his poetry read over the top of images of some of the most horrifying, gross, disgusting things that happened in World War I. And it just kind of underlines his point about how the way that they were fighting that war. Now, again, he was not necessarily opposed to protecting England from German aggression. He was opposed to the idea that we're just going to continue to throw these poor people out there on the front lines and keep throwing them at the Germans until we run out of people. And hopefully Germany runs out first. That was really the way that they were fighting the war. And the war was also being planned by very rich, very important people who weren't on the front lines, who were making all these calls without even considering, what these poor people were going through on the front lines.
Sounds like a lot of wars.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm definitely just fascinated by the whole idea. I mean, as I get older, just how weird the human brain is, and it just sounds like the struggles that he goes through are just fairly, I don't know, it just interesting to me, and I love going down that rabbit hole and watching those experiences play out in movies. Some of my favorite things to watch, so I can't wait to check this one out.
I highly recommend it. This is great. Terrence Davies is an amazing director, and he's done an incredible job with Benediction.
Awesome. Looking forward to that one. The Phantom of the Open.
The Phantom of the Open is the story of the worst golfer ever. There's this guy, right? And you may have read about him in Sports Illustrated years ago. Many people did, where he snuck into the British Open kind of by accident. He was getting fired from his job. He had a kind of a nice pension, so he wasn't, and his wife still had a job, so he kind of had a lot of time on his hands, and he figured out what he wanted to do one night when he was watching golf, and he saw the British Open. He's like, hey, I'd like to play the British Open. He'd never played golf before in his life, but he liked the look of it. So he starts to practice a little bit, and he sends a letter that says that he's part of this prestigious golf club because he wants to be. He says that's where he wants to golf, as part of this high-end club. They're not going to have him there, but he's nevertheless, in the letter he sends to the British Open, he says he's going to be a member and that he's a professional. And it's a misunderstanding. He's not lying. It's just a misunderstanding of his intentions. They allow him in, and he actually plays in the British Open and has the worst round in history. But from there, he's so excited about playing the British Open that he decides to keep coming back every year and finding different names and different ways to get into the British Open. And it's very funny. And he became this legend, this icon in Britain and eventually around the world. There's been a yearly golf tournament in Michigan dedicated to him for the worst golfer in America, and it's dedicated to this guy. And Mark Rylance is really funny at this. He does a tremendous job of making you just love this guy. He's so lovable. He's got such a wonderful sense of humor, and at first not realizing how bad he is and not recognizing how bad he is, and then kind of understanding that he's bad but still wanting to do it, and still in the various funny ways he finds to get in. He got in several times under various aliases. Each time is funnier than the last. Then you've got Sally Hawkins, who grounds the whole thing in just her absolute brilliance. I mean, there's nothing that Sally Hawkins can't do. She's somewhat sidelined in this story. It's kind of a too small role for somebody who's as awesome as she is, but she still nevertheless impresses and kind of holds down the whole movie overall from being a little bit too twee, if you will, a little bit too cute. She's not a downer. She's not a bummer. She's in on the jokes, and she's just as charming as everybody else. But she's the realist. She's the one who just kind of gives it gravity. And I really enjoyed that aspect of it. I really enjoyed this movie a lot.
I have a problem with Mark Rylance. He beat Stallone for the Oscar in Creed, and I just can't, it bothers me, and it just makes me not like the guy. Probably the most likable guy in the history of movies for most of his roles. But
he's an amazing actor.
In that too. But
even in Ready Player One, he's good, and that's a terrible movie.
it's a fiction movie, I guess. It's not, but no, I don't know. It's one of those things where I know Josh had the guys he hated, and in hindsight, some of the times he was right, but I don't know. I can't do it yet. Maybe. I mean, he was in a movie that was pretty good recently. I can't remember what it was.
The Outfit?
I don't know. What was the outfit?
It's a spy, or not a spy movie. Or is it a spy movie? It's a mob movie? No, it's on Peacock now.
Oh, I don't remember. I thought it was a bigger movie than that, but anyway,
perhaps, yeah.
I don't remember. But I just look at this poster and I want to swing at the club, and the guy did nothing wrong. People just voted for him over somebody else. That was it. On a show, no less, it was super racist to begin with because it was no black people nominated. And I still, Anyway.
Yeah.
I'm admitting to being wrong, but it's still hard to let it go. Neptune Frost.
Neptune Frost is from a directing team that includes musician Saul Williams, who's this brilliant musician / poet, and the whole thing is told in a poetic style. It's a sci-fi film set in Africa, and it's about people working in a mine who end up breaking away from that mine, and they find this place in between universes, perhaps, or in between reality and unreality, where they begin to hack the world. Using various different forms of primitive technology, they actually find a way to start to hack the entire world. And this whole thing is just incredible in terms of just the artistry and imagination of it. The design of it is gorgeous. It's very odd. You have to really try and pick up on the strange speech patterns and that are taking place, on top of which it's all in a different dialect. But so even though you're watching the subtitles, and the subtitles are in this strange order, like the way that they greet each other is unusual. Everything about the way they talk is unusual, but it all is making this larger point about corporations that have been in Africa and taking things from Africa, and like every cell phone in the world basically is born in Africa. The various pieces that are needed to make a microchip are all there, and they're all in mines where people are working 15, 16, 17-hour shifts for no money whatsoever. It's about the exploitation of the workers there, and how people feel it's okay to exploit them. It would seem how it just because it doesn't get any attention. This movie is good about that, while also being just this brilliant work of art. It's also a musical. It's got this brilliant musical score that Saul Williams does. It's just absolutely amazing. And it's also got some ideas about gender, because the binary gets talked about, and of course, non-binary, binary. The lead character is trans. One of the lead characters is trans, and we see as a man early on, and then as a woman after a bit of magic. Which is it's a very unusual scene, but everything about this movie is very unusual and very, very watchable. It's very watchable. As strange as it is, it's such a gorgeous movie and such a bold idea that you really can't take your eyes off it while you're watching it.
I was actually where I was going to talk is usually up until what you just said, being watchable. It seems like a movie like this I'd want to see in a theater that would allow me to keep my attention to it.
Mm-hmm.
With dogs and kids and a weird. It would
be a little hard. Yeah.
A light coming in off the window that's putting that's shining on the TV screen, so I can't see everything the way I want to see it. It seems like one of those where I personally, with my attention span, wouldn't be able to get as much out of it at home as I would in a theater. But It sounds amazing. It sounds really, really fascinating. And I mean, again, a movie about a lot of different things. But I'm interested in all of them. So and it just drives me nuts that, like, if I could, I would have gone to the theater probably to see something like this week.
This is the kind of movie I wish could be in theaters, but
right. But I'd be the only one.
We need 15 screens for Top Gun,
right? And I might get, unless we're in the same theater at the same time, maybe the two of us see it 2 different times, but that's about it, all you're gonna get.
Yeah,
maybe 1 or 2 other people, but I don't know. It sounds really, really fascinating, and I hope I get a chance to check it out sometime in the right mindset.
It is very odd, and it's going to and kind of divisive. Like I said, a lot of people don't have the attention span to really invest in paying attention to what they're saying, because again, it is very odd how it's said. It's very poetic. It's a poetic style of speech, so that can be a little bit off-putting for some.
It's all about the mindset when you watch it, and I would, if I get a chance to see it, you got to dedicate yourself to it. I'm going to try to make sure all the lights off, everybody leave me alone, and I can
there you go,
just get away and do it. All right,
it's in limited release right now, and I think it'll be in streaming release later this month.
Excellent. You've all been waiting for it. We made you wait a week. And then we made you wait half an hour into the podcast. Top Gun Maverick.
Top Gun Maverick stars Tom Cruise as Maverick. He's back to his old ways of flying planes. I'm being flippant, but I actually really enjoyed this. This is a really good movie. Tom Cruise is the ultimate movie star, and he's really in movie star mode here. He really matures this character in a way that it desperately needed, because I hate the original, and this is so much of an improvement. It takes that character that I didn't like and removes all of the cringe and creates a character I do like now. Maverick is returning to Top Gun to be an instructor for the next generation of Top Gun pilots, which also includes the son of his ex-partner, his ex-flying partner. Why can't I remember his name now? Anthony Edwards' character.
Goose.
Yeah. Rooster, played by Miles Teller. And he's got a lot of resentment towards Maverick for various different reasons. Not necessarily because of his dad's death. There's other aspects to it that they introduced that make it make sense. There's also just a wonderful role from Jennifer Connelly, and that's really where this movie got me. It's like as much as the flying scenes are incredible and very realistic and just exciting to watch, the stuff that really surprised me was the character stuff. The romance between him and Jennifer Connelly is really hot. It's really sexy, but it's also like really underpinned by the amount of history that they're able to get into just a few lines of dialogue and a few, shared glances. It's really something what they're capable of doing. And the chemistry between Jennifer Connelly and Tom Cruise is off the charts. They just seem to really enjoy being in scenes together, and they just communicate that romance endlessly to me. I was really surprised how well they did the character stuff. That and the scene that he has with Val Kilmer is a great scene. It's actually genuinely emotional when you're watching that. And I wouldn't expect that, given, again, I didn't think there was much to the Iceman character or the Maverick character in the original film. But this movie manages to make that feel like there's a lot of depth there, because, again, the script is very smart about layering in all this, the 30 years plus of history that, during that time, these guys really developed their friendship. They really did go out of their way to give us about a backstory between them, to develop that a little bit more, and what Iceman meant to Maverick's career over that time and meant to his life over that time. I was really impressed by the script. I was really impressed by the action and by the characters. I was really surprised how good this is.
When I started hearing more about the Val Kilmer stuff, I got more interested in it. That said, my hatred of the first one is somehow rubbed off on the rest of my family. Like, I don't even really talk about it. I think I said I hated it once, to the point where my son doesn't want to see it because I hated the first one. My daughter wouldn't go see it because I hated the first one. And it, again, hate's not the right word, because it's so inconsequential to me. It's like I don't even care that it exists. It's just kind of like, whatever, you guys like this weird, cheesy 80s action movie. I just think it's kind of dumb and lame, but I don't care. It's like Star Wars bugs me because I don't get it. But Top Gun, I'm like, who gives a fuck? But for whatever reason, that was, I couldn't get anybody to go with me, and so I never did see it. I probably will, because I am genuinely curious about the Val Kilmer stuff. Now that you mentioned Jennifer Connelly stuff, that's even better. I've always loved her. And have they ever done a movie together before?
I don't think so. I don't think they've ever done a movie together. It
makes me, based on your review alone, makes me wish they'd do like a real movie together, like a true art house drama, something, just a performance type of a movie versus an action film. That seems like would be amazing. And I've been missing that from Tom Cruise for a long time. He has no reason to do that, but because he knocks it out of the park on these, I just don't care that much. Did she play a new character in this movie? Or
yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah, it's a new character. The Kelly McGillis character is long gone. She's not even mentioned in the movie, but yeah, this is a new character. But they, like I said, they don't do a big exposition dump. They just do some conversations where it's very obvious these two people know each other and they've got a history together. She doesn't trust him initially, and there's a little bit of fun tension. They've got a great scene where she kind of humiliates him a little bit, which is kind of great, which is far better than that bar scene from the original. I feel, and it goes much better. I think in this version than that version. But like I said, everything about this movie is so much better than the original. Jennifer Connelly, my God, she's gorgeous. She's just gotten better and better as years go on. She's amazing looking.
Oh yeah, I mean, and on top of that, she's a fantastic actress. And then, I mean, the way she started out her career and where she's gone from there is pretty impressive. And I mean, I don't know. I love watching her in things, and hopefully, I mean, just simply based on what you said, I'd love to see them do a Jerry Maguire-like movie that's outside of this action world, which, again, nothing against it. This sounds like this does everything it's supposed to do and then some.
Yeah.
And I probably will see it, like I said, but that does make me excited for something that may never happen. And our mini classic, we do have 2 classics this week, and they were going to be the same 2 classics last week. This isn't because we missed a week.
Right.
But, I mean, there's only so much you can say about Top Gun that we haven't already said, but Top Gun is a classic.
Did you watch it again?
Yes, I just don't care, man. It's so... Like, I would rather watch... and it's, the fact that Hot Shots exists makes me just want to watch that instead. And I get this was a different time, and what was cool then isn't cool anymore, and I didn't really watch it as a kid. It wasn't until I was older. I think I might have watched it for the first time with this podcast. I mean, it had been on. My dad watched it a lot, but I'd never sat and watched it, and I just it might as well be a video game from the 80s. It's a cool soundtrack, I guess, but I don't know. I would still rather do Hot Shots. Did it get better for you?
No, I hate this movie. I hate it more now than I did before. I think I was more indifferent to it last time, and now because I've seen the new one, I hate it even more because the new one is so very, very good. Watching it this time, I just couldn't get over how bro-y it is. It's so bro-y, and I just hate that. I hate the energy. I hate the overly masculine energy, that necessity to constantly whip your dick out kind of energy. It's just so prevalent throughout this movie. The best thing I got out of this actually was it inspired me to watch this YouTube video about how many laws Tom Cruise's character broke in this movie. And according to the law, based on what he did throughout the movie, all the orders he contravened and buzzing the tower and risking his plane as he did, he would be executed.
Really?
A marine lawyer is like, yeah, no, he broke this law. Actually, based on what he just did there, he would be executed. He gives out information that he's not supposed to Kelly McGillis's character, which he could get court-martialed for. It's very funny. It's a Legal Eagle on YouTube if you want to check it out. It was very, very funny.
What needs to happen? What needs to happen is Danny McBride and the other guy who did the Halloween movies needs to make the true Top Gun Part 2 and go that direction. Obviously, you can't do... Well, I guess you probably could do Tom Cruise. He looks the same. It's ridiculous. But...
It's so ridiculous.
But just do, 2 young actors... Yeah, I don't know. Just recast it and do it that way. Probably can't legally do that.
He's just on the run from jail the entire time.
Eventually, they catch him and execute him. That's how it ends.
Yeah, it's not miserable. So I didn't, at the very least, it is not miserable, but it's not fun.
Well, and it's a different kind of bro-y too. It's like 80s bro-y, and it's which we were there for, but we were kids. I don't know. It just doesn't. Just so lame, I guess, is where I would. But people love it. That's our age. So I don't know. What do I know? That you've lost that love and feeling scene is so cringe.
The secondhand embarrassment I feel watching that, oh my God, if I saw somebody do that in a bar, I'd get up and leave because that's how uncomfortable I would be.
And the worst part is, it's like, because this movie exists, you probably could see that now, and now you're just going to hate the person, and it's not cringy. It's just like, you're such a loser.
Reminds me of those guys who wanted to fight after they saw Rocky. Like, just embarrassing themselves in the parking lot, throwing terrible punches.
All Rocky 4 made me want to do his workout. I should watch that more often because it's not working now.
Your next house, just get a barn and some big tires.
My next house is, I'm downsizing like a motherfucker. It's not even funny. I'm so busy and never home, and everybody's busy. It's just like, why do we even care? Let's just, I don't know. No one else cares. Sorry. But what we do care about is David Cronenberg, and we watched, is it Shivers?
Shivers, yes. Although it's been under many, many different titles. Orgy of the Blood Parasites, the Blood Parasites. Yeah. I like Shivers, though. I think it's a title. I think it's pretty cool.
Oh, for sure.
I love everything about this movie. This is David Cronenberg's first feature-length film from 1976, I believe it is. And it tells the story of this very odd apartment building in Canada that is on an island. It's an hour away from typical civilization. And what I found watching this is that Cronenberg is just this savant director. Like, he just knows what to do from day one. The only thing, like, you might notice in this movie, like, some awkwardness because he's got a bunch of amateur actors, but as a director, the choices that he makes are so smart. The cutting from one scene to the next is so brilliant that really the opening scene is this voiceover presentation about what this apartment building is. And then that slowly melts into this couple that you think might be your protagonists, but they're not. But they're going to this apartment building, and they're going to be introduced to the manager to sign their lease to become part of this place. Meanwhile, their scene is being intercut with this scene where this guy is committing this horrific murder upstairs at this apartment building, where he's murdering this young girl. And it's the cutting between those two scenes, and the energy is so strong and visually exciting. And really, I just was blown away watching this movie, just how smart it is. And considering there's elements of this that look like it's just like potentially a porno, like there's a porno aesthetic to it in many ways. But at the same time, the horror stuff, I think, and the body horror especially, wins out in this movie. I wrote an article about this that was all about what I think the actual theme is. And the actual theme is bodily autonomy. Because what happens is that there's these doctors created this parasite that they intended to be something that would be good for the body, that could maybe replace damaged organs. But what it actually does is latch on to the human body and turn up the sex drive, essentially, to perpetuate itself. So it causes people to go into a sexual frenzy. And from there, obviously, passing on the parasite from one person to the next, and the parasite kind of evolving as it goes. And really what it's about is about taking away somebody's choice. It's taking away your bodily autonomy, your ability to make a decision about whether or not you want to be part of what's happening. And it's kind of like it's an outside entity taking away your rights, taking away your ability to say no. And in that way, I was kind of comparing it to what the government does to us, specifically women, taking away their bodily autonomy, telling people what they can do with their body and what they can't. And so in that way, it feels very modern. It's got a very modern theme because that really is, I think, an intentional theme. The idea that this thing comes into your body without your wanting it there and forces you to do things that you would not normally do under the circumstances. I think that's a really strong theme that runs throughout this movie. And on top of which, then you just got amazing body horror. Just the way this parasite comes out of the mouth and goes into somebody else's mouth, or the way that you get these just people just in a sexual frenzy attacking other people and passing this parasite on. It's terrifying and weird and exciting, and and the body count is relatively small considering, because it's kind of like a zombie movie at certain points, and yet it's zombie sex as opposed to zombies, which again is such a clever twist on that genre. So I mean, everything about this movie is just fucking brilliant, and it just shows that Cronenberg from day one, it has been incredible behind a camera.
Yeah, there's only a handful of directors that, use that savant word, or that they just know what to do like every time. Tarantino, him, Ari Aster, and there's more. Robert Eggers, and not just those are the recent guys, but then you look at the guys that are good, but they don't always, like Sam Raimi, who doesn't know, it's, and Carpenter and all these guys. It's really kind of, I can't believe that I've kind of, up until the last 5 years, maybe however long we've been doing this, the Cronenberg heavy stuff on the podcast. For me, it was always History of Violence and Eastern Promises. That was Cronenberg to me. I never went back and looked at the other stuff, and and you see it on the shelves next to Nightmare on Elm Street and Friday the 13th and every other horror movie there is. Right. And it's insane to me that they're even mentioned in the same breath, or the fact that this probably isn't even mentioned when those are being mentioned. There's such a genius to it. The artistic level is insane, and it really wasn't. It was even Kristen Stewart talking about when the people were walking out of the theater, the newest one. The way she worded it is not. She didn't even. I don't know if she wanted to call it gore, but she called it like an artistic thing. An artistic. I don't even know how she worded it. Mm-hmm. Doing a poor job. Look it up. But what she said is really smart, because it helped shape this movie for me and the other stuff. It's truly a work of art what he's doing. It's really impressive, the body horror stuff, and it's not corny, and it's not made for laughs. It's
uncomfortable. It's terrifying. It's
impressive at the same time. It never, at no point is it like fun, but it's fucked up. And the sex scenes in this were like messed up, and in a lesser movie, it's softcore porn, and here it's at no point, I don't think you can really enjoy it as much as be intrigued by it, and that's what, anytime you go back to the 80s and we have to watch these movies, there's always a part of me that's just like, okay, now that we know what we know, sometimes this can be uncomfortable, and this is not one of those movies where I'm uncomfortable, or I'm uncomfortable for different reasons, not for just not holding up. It's just so, like, how do we miss these? How do they not?
Right.
It's insane to me. And I know there are people that are preaching Cronenberg, but not to the level of, some of the guys I mentioned, Tarantino. Everybody knows who that is. Mm-hmm. But this, it's insane to me how a movie like this is hardly ever talked about. I didn't know about this until you told me about it. And this is fucking amazing.
It really is. It really is. There's this wonderful scene in this movie that is just entirely visual. Like, one of the first characters who gets the parasite, he is returned to his apartment. He's very ill. He's obviously got this thing inside of him. He starts to convulse. He gets up. He goes to the bathroom, and he's vomiting. But instead of hearing that familiar sound of what vomit would sound like hitting the bottom of a tub, all you hear is this slap. And then he stands up, and he's got the blood on him, and he's got blood on his pants. And Cronenberg keeps the camera low and keeps the focus on the blood. He wants you to see the blood, because he wants you to know this guy threw up blood. And so he's focused on that, this bloody towel. The guy walks off the frame, and then we go into the bathroom. And what we see is this relatively small and thin amount of blood, but just this tiny little trail going to the drain, to let us know that something came out of this guy. That little plop we heard was something coming out of this guy and going down that drain, and where's it going to go next? That's really just such a clever piece of direction and a wonderful piece of editing. It just centers everything beautifully, and it kind of sets you up. And then he just goes balls out, and the next scene is him throwing up another one onto a woman's umbrella outside, which is like, again, that's a wonderful piece of shock shock theater. I just loved that. Everything about this movie is just so great.
And he's a guy that's never chasing popularity. He's making his vision, what he wants to do. He's doing it, under an umbrella where he can, no pun intended, where he can control everything he wants to do. And his vision is seen, as far as I can tell, to the fullest. And that just makes me like him that much more. Even if you took out what you said, the right to, we lose the right to choose, even if that wasn't what he was going for, it still works on a non-creepy level. And again, the proper creepy level, but, it's just such a work of art that, I never would have thought I would look back at a movie like that and called it work of art, because it was just, it's gory, it's body horror, but it really is. It really is a work of art, and I just find that so impressive, and I'm so happy that I can't wait to do the next one, and I can't wait to see his new movie. It's like I'm looking every week on the numbers, like, is it this time?
Right?
I thought for sure, like Jurassic Park and nope, just Jurassic World. So I can't wait.
I was so excited that I had to sit down and watch Rabies. So I did. I've already watched Rabies because I was just too excited to. I actually watched Rabies and his drag racing movie.
Is he disappointed yet?
The drag racing movie is not very good, but the Rabies is pretty amazing.
Yeah,
and that one stars porn star Marilyn Chambers.
Well, and I have heard directors casting porn stars because it makes it less uncomfortable to ask them to do certain things. But again, at no point do I watch this and just be like, that was a bad choice. Everything about it was just along for the, like, he pulls me right out of that mindset, and it was just kind of like, where the fuck do you come up with this idea? Like, how messed up are you? But in a good, in a good way.
He just sees the world just a little bit differently.
And then I don't know if Ivan Reitman actually produced it or they put his name on it later on, but
no, I think he was he
was like a sound
friends.
designer or something like that on it.
They were friends, and yeah.
But I can't. It was on Tubi. You have to watch it with commercials, but it's worth it.
Absolutely. And Rabies is on there as well.
Might be something I'll have to do as well in my spare time.
I'm just excited to just watch every Cronenberg movie now. I just want to go through them all. I want to watch The Fly again because I've never been able to really invest in The Fly because I get so grossed out by that movie that I just kind of tune out at a certain point. But that was years ago, so maybe I might be able to watch it now.
You might, yeah. And I kind of want. I've always heard Naked Lunch is weird.
Yeah, I definitely want to see that. And Dead Ringers. I want to see Dead Ringers for sure. It's amazing, too, to look back on The Brood and Shivers and Rabies and realize that Scanners is not even remotely one of his best movies. Like, Scanners is one of his lesser movies.
And that's one of the more popular ones from that era.
Yeah. Well, everybody knows it because of the head explosion, but that's like the rest of that movie isn't great. It's okay. It doesn't do quite as well as this or The Brood, which I think The Brood is pretty amazing too.
Videodrome, that was good.
Yeah,
that's probably
Videodrome,
biggest from that era, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is gonna be fun. I can't wait to keep doing it. Next week we've got Jurassic World Dominion. Is that what it's called, or something like that?
Yeah, something like that.
Hustle will be on Netflix. We skipped it for this week so we could all watch it. Sean's going to watch a movie called WYRM, or is that a word?
Worm. Yeah, I think it's called Worm.
And you're also going to watch the classic movie Tales of Hoffman.
Yeah, I didn't want to subject you to that one, unless you really want to. It is Powell and Pressburger. It's Scorsese's favorite directors, but it is a movie opera ballet, which I didn't know if you'd be into that or not.
Probably depends on the mood.
It's incredible, and it's getting a brand new Criterion release tomorrow. So I've got my review going up tomorrow, hopefully to accompany that.
But our classic is going to be Welcome to the Dollhouse, 1990.
And we're gonna watch Rabies.
Don't gotta ask me twice. 92, we probably will skip over again next week, but Class Act, Patriot Games, and House Sitter.
I like Class Act. I've always liked Class Act.
Is that the one with Brad Pitt?
I thought it was Kid and Play.
Oh, you're right. Brad Pitt was in another one, probably even earlier than that. Class something or other.
Yeah, Cutting Class.
Cutting Class, that is right. Yeah, I did like Class Act with Kid and Play. I loved their movies as a kid.
House Party and House Party 2 and Class Act, yeah.
Yeah, I guess who opened for Slipknot? Cypress Hill. I mean, it's not Kid and Play, but it was fucking awesome. It's just like, I remember 93.
That's amazing. Wow, what a combination.
It really was pretty cool. And then they closed with the House of Pain song, Jump Around. It was a nice nostalgia show.
That's cool.
All right. Let's go run through some flick chart real quick before my battery dies.
All right.
If it dies really, really fast, I'll restart it because we shorted you in a whole episode last week. Sherlock Holmes, A Game of Shadows, or Monsters Ball?
Monsters Ball.
Yes. King of Chinatown or Bolt?
Don't know that one.
Neither do I. Clueless, Bolt.
Clueless.
Absolutely. Predator, the greatest action movie of all time. Is this? You know what this is?
I don't know that one.
Predator or Psycho, the remake.
The remake. Yeah, it's Predator, I guess.
Yeah.
Since it's not Hitchcock's Psycho.
Yeah. Star Wars: The Last Jedi, Batman vs Superman: Dawn of Justice.
That's tough for me, not for
I
you.
know Star Wars: The Last Jedi is my favorite Star Wars movie.
Oh. I'm going with Last Jedi. I love Batman versus Superman. I'm a fan of that film, but I like The Last Jedi a little bit more.
I'll do that. Just one, it pisses off the other Star Wars fans. I did like that, but there's enough for the Martha scene alone. I'll go with the Star Wars movie. It works enough, like I can get behind it, but
yeah,
that is a little bit like, really? Jackass the movie, Castaway.
I know Castaway is a better movie, but I would rather watch Jackass the movie.
See, I don't know that it is. I know the performance is great, but I don't really like the movie. I don't know.
The movie goes on a bit. It goes on a bit.
Jackass is tighter.
It really is.
Is that what we're going with?
I'm going with Jackass the movie.
Yeah. Room, Fast Food Nation.
Room, Fast Food Nation is such a disappointment.
That's overrated. Or was it overrated, or was it one that we had a bunch of hype going in? And
it had a little bit of hype, but then people kind of started to see it, and it just went away really quickly because it was not good.
Speaking of not good,
but I mean, the book is not something that lended itself to having a narrative feature. You know, it was a very dry book,
right?
Fast Food Nation, and then trying to turn it into a narrative feature with Richard Linklater it just did not work.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that wasn't. But I mean, back to Cronenberg. Like, my brother read Naked Lunch in college, and I've never read it. And he goes, I don't know how. Like, it's not a book you're supposed to make into a movie. But somehow Cronenberg did. You know, it's kind of like what Adaptation was. Only I'm curious of the movie. I have no idea where it even. I'm just totally blind and clueless going into it. So I can't wait to have that experience whenever we have a chance to do that one, provided it's available. Back to bad movies. The Pink Panther 2006, Battle of Los Angeles 2011.
Good God. Do I shoot myself or hang myself?
I would shoot myself. It's quicker.
So you're going with the Pink Panther?
Yes.
Fair enough.
Wasn't sure how you were going to place the two. God Bless America, The X-Files. What is
Yeah,
God
I
Bless
appreciate
America?
God Bless America because I do think it comes close to achieving what it wants. Whereas I think The X-Files is a very entertaining adaptation of that TV show. Where are you going?
Uh, I don't remember God. I know I've seen God Bless America, but I can't remember it. And I was never an X-Files fan, so I never watched the movie. So I'll just go wherever you want to go.
I'm going to go with the X-Files. Like I said, God Bless America is so close to achieving what what it wants to. It's a Bobcat Goldthwait directed film, and it's very violent and strange, and but it just comes up a little short of the overall point that it wants to make.
Yeah, he did that a lot, where his movies were like, you think they're going to be good, and there's some good in them, but they never quite land like some of his.
At the very least, I think he's more in. He's a director I appreciate, even when his ideas are come up short. They're better ideas than most other people have.
But I guess it would remind me of like what is that Idiocracy movie where it's like the idea is great, but it never quite lands. But he's more original and more punk rock, I guess, if that's for lack of a better word.
Yeah.
Ted the Rock.
Ted. Oh, I enjoy The Rock.
Yeah. Not a huge McFarlane fan, but Ted's pretty funny. The Net, Michael.
The Net.
Yeah. Ted Starship Troopers.
Ted?
I hate Starship Troopers, dude. If Ted was bad, I would have paid that. I did watch Lost City.
Yeah?
That's fine. Pigs and Battleships, a Brady Bunch movie. I don't really know what else to say about it.
I don't know what the Pigs and Battleships. I don't know that one.
The Devil's Advocate, the Brady Bunch movie.
Brady Bunch, I guess. I don't really care about either of those movies.
Yeah, The Devil's Advocate. While I liked it, I'm also really disappointed by it. Like with that cast at the time, with the age I was, that should have been. You know, I wanted that to be basically what I wanted Copland to be and what I wanted Heat to be. And all three of them were none of that. At least Heat was fun for me. The English Patient, Mississippi Burning.
Mississippi Burning.
Yes.
It was not 4 hours long and feels like homework.
Speaking of homework, Watchmen and 50-50.
50-50 is a great movie.
Yes, Watchmen is homework, though. I do, I like it okay, but I don't want to ever watch it again. I actually literally did homework to watch the movie. I read the comic book, and it was a fun week.
It takes a lot.
Yeah. Death Race, Get Smart.
Get Smart.
Yes. Kingpin, Blood Simple.
Blood Simple.
Yeah.
I love Kingpin.
I do
Kingpin's
too,
hilarious.
It's the Coen brothers. Let's
Yeah.
call them the Cronin brothers. Commando, Vertigo.
Vertigo, by a lot.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Deadpool, Say Anything.
Deadpool.
Oh, wow. I thought you were going to be flipping on that one.
I love Say Anything, but yeah, Deadpool is hilarious.
Yeah. My Girl, The Hobbit, The Battle of the Five Armies.
My Girl.
Yeah.
His glasses. He needs his glasses. I just love doing that because I'm triggering somebody in the audience.
I mean,
like there's somebody in the audience just starts tearing when I do that.
But it's literally, I mean, and I know she thinks of it this way, but it's the same as the I'm so excited from Saved by the Bell. That's her I'm so excited moment. And
now you're triggering them to be angry.
So, most likely they're not listening to the show. Because they're not really movie fans. I'm really triggering if they are. Collateral, Cats and Dogs.
Collateral.
Fucking love that movie.
Yeah, it's great.
I've
not seen the college admission scandal. Not seen that for sure.
I have seen that, but it's not a movie. Predator, Escape from L.A.
Predator.
My brother insists I need to rewatch that, and it's better than I thought. I don't know. I can't really.
That's not a movie. Yeah.
No. John Wick Chapter 2: A Simple Plan.
John Wick Chapter 2. A Simple Plan is really good, though.
I haven't seen it, but I'll go with you. I do love Simple Plan. Be Cool, Jarhead.
Jarhead.
Be Cool sucked. The Goonies, Traitor.
I don't even remember what Traitor is, but I probably like it more than Goonies.
Really?
I'm not a fan of Goonies.
I'm not either, but the fact that I know what it is is why I was going to go with it. Let's see if I can get
I actually kind of have a vague remembrance of Traitor because Don Cheadle's good in it.
All right, I'll flip for it.
But Don Cheadle's good in just about anything.
Don Cheadle wins. Stigmata, The Karate Kid Part 3.
Karate Kid 3. Stigmata sucks.
I really love Karate Kid 3. This is interesting. United 93, Superman 4, The Quest for Peace.
It just, man, my brain. I'm the worst human being in the world. You know why I'm the worst human being in the world? Because the first thing that came to my head was, which is the bigger disaster?
I was trying to combine the two movies, so I mean.
Anyway, yeah, I apologize for that joke. You can cancel me. It's at Podcast Sean on Twitter. United 93 is not the obvious choice. It's the better film. It's just I still have such a weird relationship to that movie. It's so bizarre. It's such a the actual guy who closed the American airspace on 9/11 is in the movie reenacting what he did that day. And meanwhile, we're sitting in an audience that are just chomping on popcorn and drinking pop, watching a full-on reenactment of September 11th. It was so weird. It's still so weird to watch that movie.
Right. It's... You wonder if it needs to exist.
Yeah.
At the same time, it's horrifying, and it brings you back there, and it's well made. I don't know.
It's not the movie's fault that we're just that weird of a country that we treat 9/11 like a fucking action movie.
Fucking everything like an action movie.
Paul Greengrass did not have that intent when he made the movie. He just wanted to make the most realistic reenactment of 9/11 he could make, and we treated it like it was just an everyday movie.
Right.
Because we're a bunch of assholes. And the studio definitely are a bunch of assholes who thought it'd be a great idea. Let's have that movie playing next to a Tyler Perry movie, because that's normal. It's the other things that were in theaters that weekend. I don't remember exactly what they were, but it's just weird to have, perfect reenactment of September 11th, Medea goes to jail or some shit like that.
Right. Yeah, it's
It was 4 years. It was 4 years after September 11th. We're sitting there watching this movie like that. That's just so fucking weird.
And even, I don't blame Paul Greengrass because I think we're worse than he was. But he too, the fact that he was making it was still kind of there's a little bit of that in his head. It's just a human nature that, especially in this country, that we all go there. I don't know. It's he kind of had to know that this was how this going to go. Right. And the fact that he wanted to make it has a little bit of that in his head too. Anyway, have you seen Homeless Hair?
No. I probably have, but I don't think it's an actual movie.
Yeah. Triple X State of the Union Scrooged.
So Scrooged.
Yeah. The Music Box.
Not seeing that one.
Let's see here. Maybe there's nothing after this. Wow, the other one disappeared too. This is for the YouTube people at home. You're getting a good show on my internet. That is a good thing. While I am downsizing, I will have better internet where I go. So
that's
this
good.
could be a better show. Hopefully the acoustics are better as well. Free Willy, Scary Movie 3.
Free Willy. Scary Movie 3 is the first one where they truly go off the rails. Like Scary 2 is bad too, but like not as bad.
Yeah, I never really got into the scary movies. Not that I love Free Willy either, but
I don't love it either. But
by the time they got to the third one, though, it was all downhill. Rush Hour, Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Raiders of the Lost Ark for me.
Yeah, I'm indifferent on both. So I'll go with you. Drawing Blood or There Will Be Blood.
I'm not a fan. I don't know what Drawing Blood is. I've not seen that one.
Best in Show, There Will Be Blood.
There Will Be Blood.
Fine. Mad Max Battling Butler.
I've not seen The Battling Butler. Although I'm reading a book about Buster Keaton.
Mad Max Smoking the Bandit.
Smokey and the Bandit.
Yeah, you get to see.
I don't care for either one of them, though.
But you get to see Smokey sooner than you get to see Mad Max and his.
Exactly.
Life. Be Cool Room.
Room by a lot.
Clueless Jumanji.
Clueless.
Agreed. Four Brothers Prometheus.
Four Brothers.
That's fine. The Muppets, 2011 or Dune 84.
The Muppets.
Agreed. Half Baked, Deep Blue Sea.
Half Baked.
It's before Chappelle turned into a hack. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Tombstone.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Even as good as Tombstone is, that one's an all-time classic.
It's by a lot, and Tombstone's good.
Exactly.
Flight of the Navigator, Gandhi.
Oh, God.
Fishing with Gandhi.
Exactly.
Let's end on that. All right, we'll see you next week, everybody.
Cool. Thanks.
Bye.